So I won't spend much time on this, but I am in, I have a couple of demo sites. So what I'm in right now is Blackboard demo site as a student on
Hold on
George.
a second, just so you know, I don't have host permission, so I can't click record. So can somebody do that?
Oh,
Thanks.
I've clicked record. Record is going.
Thank you.
So I am in my Blackboard demo site. Please note that Blackboard instances look different, right? But I am in here as a student, George Miller or Miller George. I just want to take you quickly through what it looks like from a student's perspective when they are accessing Echo. So in essence, they'll access Echo the same way that the instructors do. Instructors can teach live with Zoom, just as we're doing. So we're on Zoom right now, and I perhaps want to go ahead and have my students follow along with a presentation during class. So I can go ahead and upload a presentation into my class, and these are noted just for my own purposes. You can name them whatever you choose. And let me start at the beginning. So I can go ahead and talk to my students and say, today's class on atmospheric forces, we're going to talk about these three main forces. Make sure you remember this. Just a couple of things to note. Up here is the student toolbar. Students can take notes during a live presentation that can later be used in a study guide. So this is a demo site. We've taken notes before, but a couple things to note. The slide that you are on when you're taking a note is noticed here. I can also bookmark content. So if I, as the instructor, say, make sure you remember these three forces, I think there's three, not four, right? Then I can bookmark this, right? I also can ask questions during a live session. Yes, I know Zoom has this, but think about this. This container of Echo 360 keeps all of the analytics together so that students can do it all within here. So if I want to say, please go into gradient force more thoroughly.
So let me just point out to everybody that, the big difference here is that, and the reason why some of our folks, of course, want to use Zoom or Blackboard Collaborate directly is there's more of an interactive for all attendees. With this tool, it's more of a one-to-many thing. And if they want to interact with the instructor, this is the way they're going to interact. They're not going to have like a live audio feed to the instructor like we do right now in this Zoom.
Well, but in the scenario that I am using right now,
yes,
you can teach with Zoom just as we are,
yes,
and the students can follow along.
Okay.
And write the questions. I think what you were referring to, Joe, was live streaming, where it's
yes. I'm sorry.
No,
Beg your
that's
pardon.
not a problem.
You're right.
So I like to talk about scenarios. Scenario one, Zoom, right? Everybody and their uncle use Zoom with COVID and still probably will, but it's not always the best to use because if you have a large class, it's hard to manage that. But Echo 360 still can be used with Zoom in a live synchronous manner, virtually, as well as, in a hybrid manner. So what's nice about Echo though, is students can ask this questions and they can post it anonymously. The instructor though will get the name of the student on the back end. No one else sees it. You also can, as a student, put confusion flags, things like that. So that is sort of an overview of what the student has. We've also recently added something called interactive media. And I want to show you what this looks like from a student's perspective. So this is interactive media with tornado video, right? And the student still has the ability to comment or, write notes, things like that. But I'm going to go ahead and play this. It doesn't have any sound, so you aren't missing anything, but I couldn't find any free videos with people talking. So, so I now, as an instructor, have put a quiz question or just maybe an information gathering question into a video. This could be a video that I've been using for years or a new one that I created. So I want to go ahead and, as the student, I want to go ahead and type where I think the correct answer is and hit submit. Now that is the correct answer. I get that indication. and I can continue on. So now I'm watching more of the video with Echo 360's interactive media. Now, of course, this would be an asynchronous component of our platform. Students can go ahead and watch this at their own time. And the use case for this would be maybe pre or post live class, where you want your students to prepare and gather some knowledge, or after you've had a live class, you want to provide them some more information. So here I got this one incorrect. This was the correct answer. And then continue on, watch one more, or watch a little bit more of the video. I stopped it there. So another thing that Echo has added is feedback. So in this case, I gave them feedback. I did a great job. If I would have answered when it rains, another piece of feedback would have come. And then I can also tell them to refer to chapter 2 or go to this website. So another great way to interact with students and get that information. Any questions so far before I jump over to the instructor site?
Great.
Okay. So as a student, again, well, before I go into, let me just go to my courses. I go down to my, I think it's weather and climate. So as a student now, I see any questions that were asked. And if it was asked by, you know, anyone else, I'm not going to see who asked that question, but the student or the instructor will. I also have a study guide that I can download. So this is another great reason and capability. And then I also can search across all different pieces of media. If I know that I have to study something on, you know, cone tornadoes, I can type that in and find it. So any questions on the student site before I quickly jump over to the instructor site?
I just have a comment here that if this was recorded and you had a transcript, then obviously they'd be able to search that too, correct?
Yep, exactly. And so that's a good point. So let's go to the course really quickly and show you what a transcript looks like. So once, let's say you want to deliver your lecture asynchronously, and you also want your students to follow along or at least have the presentation there. When the students come back to look at this, they're going to see, if you choose to capture your picture, your, you know, what you look like, your image. They can always knock that off if they just want to hear you. They have the slide, and then they have what's captured on your screen. So when they play it back, let me get to the right point here. They can follow along.
Not to cool. It has to cool at that rate of 10.
They also, if you have automated speech recognition turned on, a transcript will align with that.
Per kilometer. And this graph illustrates that we might start with an air parcel at 30 degrees at the surface. You cause it to rise.
So these are demo sites, so it's not going to match perfectly. Of course, teaching it is. I've used these presentations to add different things in, but you get the idea that this is now, you know, a helpful tool for students to use, and it allows them to be in one tool, if you will.
Good.
Okay, so let me jump over to the instructor side of the house, if you will. And here I am in the same area that my student was. So again, there's, you know, the atmospheric forces before and after class. If I want to add, right now I have presentations, but if I have a video I want to add, I can do that here. Here is what the presentation looks like from the instructor's perspective. And this is the interactive media. I think a couple things that we wanted to focus on today was analytics and Zoom. So we talked about the Zoom capability, teaching with Echo 360 in a live synchronous, virtual, or hybrid manner, where you might have 20 students in front of you and 20 at home. That is our first scenario. When we talk about analytics, what we're looking at right now is what is available for instructors when they use Echo 360 in any modality. So what I have across here is various analytics. And if you hover over it, it tells you what this means. So confusion flags, remember we had the student was able to mark something as confusing. Why is that helpful? Well, that's helpful to me as an instructor, because if I have 10 students marking a certain part of a video or a certain part of a presentation as confusing, I now know that I need to maybe cover that again, or I can, provide some supplementary material. It also tells me if there's any questions, slide deck views, polling responses, note events, or video views. So this is just a high level overview of, how students are interacting with that. And while you can and should use Zoom for various situations, you aren't going to get all these detailed analytics from either Blackboard Collaborate or Zoom that you will with Echo. Okay. You also can export this data as well. So there's more information if you export this as a CSV.
And just to remind Jason that basically the concept of classes, which is what we're looking at right now. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 classes in those graphs that you're seeing here, is equivalent to the term video. Or every video has to have a class placeholder, Jason.
Thanks.
Okay. Yep, that
Yeah,
makes sense.
everybody's terminology is a little different. So we can also look at this by student as well. And again, you can export this. So I can look by weighted engagement, by attendance, and we'll get into what these mean in a minute. Video view percentage, number of video views, all of these that you can read here. Sometimes instructors just do this just so they can ensure that students are interacting with the content, but sometimes they actually use this as participation grades or something like that. How do these numbers get determined and what do they mean? So Echo 360 provides what we call engagement score metrics. If you've never looked at this before or ever changed it before, everything is going to be right in the middle. We allow you to choose what is important to you or the instructor based on, your class or, how you're delivering that content. So let's talk about attendance. Attendance with Echo 360 is probably not, used in the way that you would think. When you are creating content and providing it for students to review, we only take attendance if there are time metrics. So let's take a quick look at our courses. So if I want to create a class, is this the weather and climate? Or we'll just go to mammalian histology. If I want to create a class, and this is a synchronous class where I want students to come in between 10 and 11 a.m. on April 15th, and they do come in between 10 and 11 a.m. on April 15th, they will get marked for attendance. Okay, that is the only way that right now Echo 360 works with attendance. So it would be for, a live class, maybe during Zoom, you want those students to come in and you want to make sure that they're interacting with that content. Okay, we are looking to change our attendance capabilities based on feedback from faculty. Okay, so that's the first thing. Video views, self-explanatory. Okay.
Can I just jump in there for a second?
Sure.
If they're doing it through Zoom, then obviously we have some report capabilities through Zoom that would give us some attendance numbers too.
Exactly.
Or Blackboard Collaborate.
Exactly. And realize too that prior to pandemic, not everybody had, was using all of that to deliver. So, we're looking to enhance our metrics based on, some feedback and different things that have happened over the past year.
And without going too far down this rabbit hole, Mary Jane, I think we had already spoken about the possibility that there would be more of a Blackboard Collaborate integration to Zoom as well. And that somewhere down the line on a roadmap, I believe, right?
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
For sure. Video views, self-explanatory, and it also tells the percentage of video. So if a student is like pushing the thing and watching 5% of it out of a, 100%. You can see that. And we've had faculty tell us that students come and say, I watched the whole video, and they can go in and pull up the metrics and say, you only watched 5% of that video. So it is very helpful for instructors, presentation views, self-explanatory, Q&A, notes, and activities. We offer presets based on learning. So if it's important for your students to come to class, physical class, virtual class, then we suggest that, these metrics are important to you. Remote suggests that, they can watch it or interact anytime they want. They don't have to be there at a certain time. Personal and peer learning weights more heavily on the interaction with the material and with one another. You can choose, if you only want them to watch videos and nothing else matters, then you can change it all to that, okay? And I'm not gonna apply that. It'll always say, don't forget to save it. But then you can take a quick look at your least and most engaged students. Now I only have 2. You also can see where students are confused. So if you have 5 students and 3 are confused on slide 6 on epithelia, that gives you a heads up. So these are metrics that you don't necessarily get. And then we do offer you the ability to push specific things into your grade book. Right now, we have activity score percentage. So it's a percentage of the activity score, attendance or engagement. We have more information on all of this, on our website, but I want to stop there. I have about 5 minutes because I do have another meeting at 11:30. Any questions?
That's great.
Okay.
Yeah, I just didn't realize this was so robust.
Mhm.
So
It
That's
is.
what we're trying to get across to everybody too,
Yeah.
Jason. We know that there's so much here. Getting people in the platform and actually starting to use it was our first task, and we continue to do that obviously as the numbers grow. But now that we have people in it, we want to see them leverage all the mechanisms that are here and the information as well for both them and their students. But it's been tougher to get people to jump into this next level.
Right. And understandably, and I'm happy to work, I'll tell you, Joe and Sandy and Sarah done a great job in providing awareness and growing the use. Now we want to take it to that next level. And I know there are some great faculty champions that, sort of tout the benefits. Happy to work with anyone, small groups or whatever, just to, help them use maybe one extra feature or tool.
Sure. At a time.
Yeah. With regard to Zoom, so we talked about the different capabilities with Zoom. We could do it just like we did now, right? Everybody logs in, everybody, logs into Echo and they follow along, okay? Another option, instructors can launch an ad hoc Zoom meeting right here. We also have some integrations where an instructor that has Zoom meetings already set up have them mapped directly to your
Echo
course.
course.
And then the final one is LTI Pro, which maps it with the LMS. So I'm going to send the videos for those 3 capabilities of Zoom in a follow-up. Joe and Sandy may already have them, but it's helpful to have that in a single email.
Yeah.
And then finally, just quickly, Echo 360 has the ability to add those polls to existing videos. And I'll just quickly show you how easy that is. You can simply go to a library, decide where you want that poll. You have all of the polls already in your library. So you can simply click on this and click add poll. And right now it's placed right where I said. You can also go here and create a new poll. Where it gives you the choices of all of our, and you can move these at any time. So simple, easy, and then you have the ability to actually add these as an assignment where the participation grade can be pushed into your LMS gradebook.
That's
So I'll send the video on that as well.
thanks.
Okay. I'm
That's
sorry.
good stuff. Yes,
That's
I know
what
you
I
got to
wanted to
go.
talk to
And
you,
just to be sure that and everybody knows on this recording that the institution is going to fully utilize Zoom for all students and faculty and staff soon. So the integration with Zoom and Echo 360 is almost going to be a no-brainer going forward.
Right. And it's, and when you think about it, I've had trainings where I've had 25, 30 people on Zoom, and Zoom's a great tool, but sometimes it's not easy to manage that many people.
Mhm.
So, or even larger than that, I've had like 50 or 60, but it's, when using Echo 360, it gives users another outlet, another capability. Also, Echo does have live streaming. So if you have very large classes, 40, 50, you can live stream. And we've also seen many institutions during the pandemic that have taught physically in a physical classroom, and then the second set of students are down the hall in another classroom, and they watch the live stream. So just some other options there.
Great. Thank you very much, Mary Jane.
Thanks so much. I appreciate your
Thank you.
time.
This is great.
Any other questions or anything before I jump off?
No, this is great. Thank you.
Oh, thank you
Anything
so
comes
much.
up, we'll follow back.
Yeah,
I'll
and we'll
follow up
talk
in an email.
Today, and I'll send an email with those resources. Thanks, everyone. Have a great
Thanks,
day.
Mary Jane.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Bye.